Marcus Ericsson for Sauber. Charlie Herbert, yes, all decked out in Red Bull gear this weekend. He's a great character, isn't he, Johnny? Wonderful. Nico Rosberg, and his biggest issue of the evening was a drinks tube problem. Fernando Alonso, Eric Boullier in the garage at McLaren Honda. Lots and lots of flow vis on the front of the McLaren, and also on the side of the Lotus there as well. And the reason why they study this, Bob, is they're looking at where it detaches from the car. It looks ugly to us, but aerodynamicists have a reason behind using this. You can see it also all over the underside of the front wing, and they were trialling front wing assemblies on the Toro Rosso. Massive amount of sparks being generated by the titanium skid blocks on these cars, on the bumps, in the braking areas. And right on cue, we jumped on board there with Nico Rosberg, and you could hear that car just striking the road and the floor, and the skid blocks on the car just making contact with the road. A little mistake down at turn 1, over the top of the inside curve, and then corresponding car jumps onto the outside curve at 2. It's very, very tight down there. Great variation in speed. The cars are approaching turn 1 at more than 300 kilometres an hour. They need to get down to 120 kilometres an hour for the apex at turn 1, and then they quickly accelerate back up to about 155, and then it's down again to 85 kilometres an hour at turn 3. Great variations in speed. And look at the Ferrari just glued to the road. Kimi Raikkonen, great shot, the front end of the Red Bull, and the extraordinary amount of work on the front wing of that car. Big lock-up moment. You see a lot of those, particularly on street circuits early in the weekend. And we're seeing it again in evidence on the run through to turn 13 at the Anderson Bridge. Reprofiled this year, but still difficult to get the car back to the right-hand side of the road, and it's as the driver moves the car back to the right, trying to open up the corner where the problem begins. So lots of energy and effort being applied to try and manage temperature down there in those garages. So that was the conversation, the earnest. In fact, it wasn't really a conversation, it was Felipe just listening inside the Williams garage. So whatever the issue was that they tried to rectify. So Alonso studying data as we go back to Rosberg. With a fresh engine in that car this weekend, the demise of that previous engine at the Italian Grand Prix, which was a problem for him in what was a competitive points-paying position, and has hurt his quest to keep the pressure on in the World Championship battle. 53 points is that gap now, so Massa spent a disproportionate amount of free practice 1 out of the car. This is in the garage at McLaren Honda, and Jenson Button getting dressed ready for battle. Back to Alexander Rossi. That car does not look happy on the bumps around here at the moment. Lewis Hamilton. So 1 or 2 little issues for him. He ran wide at turn 1 at one point, and then we saw a bizarre image at one stage of him actually taking his glove off in the pit lane. Pastor Maldonado.